There is emerging on the face of the earth a new human, an infinite human, and that infinite human is you. Join Elizabeth Monroy weekly for enlightening discussions, multidimensional journeys, profound meditations, and empowering visualizations as we co-create the new consciousness renaissance together with other blossoming infinite human beings who are shifting the old paradigms of our broken, fragmented, finite 3D Earth and alchemizing it into a more expansive, unified, loving, infinite reality by reclaiming their true divine infinite power within as the co-creators of the new infinite Earth. Join us weekly for the Infinite Human Talk Show, hosted by Elizabeth Monroy, every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time.
Hello, my divine, infinite human beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And wow, how is everyone feeling? Oh my God. What is going on with the sun and the suns, I will say. And I've got a lot of information to share because there's so much happening on so many multidimensional levels, and it all has to do with suns. And well, I'm asking you, let's start first with our first environment. How are you feeling? How have you been feeling these past days, even the past weeks? Um, Gosh, I think everybody's feeling it depending on which level they're at and depending on their coding, okay? What they're coded to receive, because there's massive amounts of codes coming through our suns. And I'll explain the mechanics of it more. But even on the scientific, and I'm talking about the microscopic little hole that our current scientists have the ability to see, very, very limited. They are freaking out because they don't know what to make of this. I mean, what is going on? There's holes in the corona of the suns. There's G4, G5, storms. They've never seen it before, and it never has happened, and it probably never will happen again because we are in uncharted, unprecedented times, uncharted territory. And believe it or not, just to give you a little inkling of how massive this has never happened before in a time matrix. And when I say time matrix, I'm talking about this has been planned, prophesized, waited for over 260 billion years. Yes, I said billion. 260 billion years we've been waiting for this moment. And of course, so has the dark side or the fallen angelics, the parasites, whatever you want to call them. So have they, because this is the end times. This is the showdown. It's playing out. It's the war of frequency. So let me just back up for a minute because I'm trying to get through this because I usually feel great. And I follow the sun. I mean, I spend my summers in Sicily where, there's not a cloud in the sky. And then I've been going down to the Yucatan and I just am summer all the time and I can't absorb enough sun. Well, that's over. I went to, I guess it would be the hospital here in Sicily because the hospitals will kill you. So I went to thank God, my angel, who's a pharmacist, she gave me a shot of cortisone, which I never do that because I was literally getting so swollen that I was about to not be able to breathe. My neck was getting so swollen and I'm already congested here. And, I'm going to I don't like to talk about my health, but I'm going to because, I think those of us that are coded very high are from very high levels, perhaps even deity planes, and if you kind of get an inkling. If you don't get an inkling of what I'm saying, just file it away. If you start to fall asleep or something, that's good because that means you're saturated. You have to kind of if you're driving, stop, but it means you have to get out of your body to be able to absorb what I'm saying because it's coming from it's stuff that at some level, and many of you are coded for this, and that's why you're having so much trouble with it. And you look around and other people, well, they might be, "Oh, I was a little tired," You're like a train wreck, you're falling apart because 'cause you're clearing all your lower frequencies, all right? So not to worry, just hold on to that body, you're gonna need it. But on my personal journey, oh my god. Well, I just like I said, I absorb the suns, but I can't do that anymore because I have had sunstroke 3 times in the past 4 years, and this time it just is not going away, which is terrible because I spend all my summer at the beach. I can't even go sit under an umbrella, it's that bad. I can't go out because they don't air condition here, so so I've been studying a lot, of the spiritual sciences and kind of getting more into my mission, which has probably all been planned. But, I mean, you name it, I had migraines, which is clearing out the third eye, and that whole complex. I've had my thyroid is coming back online after being offline because, of modern medicine. I took atomic cocktails coming back, but my levels are up and down, I'm tired, as many of you have been for the past couple weeks, and then I've had it like bladder infection, and all kinds of infections, and then with that, I had this sunstroke, and so today I was swelling up, and Peter, if you don't know, Peter's my husband who's works with me all the time, he's my tantra twin. So, and, he's saying, "Go down and get a cortisone shot." And I'm like, "Ow." We always had this fight when he was alive, like, "I'm not into traditional medicine, I want herbs and yoga." And he's like, "Get the shot." And thank God, I found someone who 'cause you couldn't do that in America. She has a pharmacy, and so she knows me, she understands. She was worried, but she gave me it, and I finally got better, and so, I can breathe now. So, I made it, and I tried to do this talk, on Memorial Day, and it didn't come through either. So, divine timing, I think today's the right time because there's so much information, and it's only going to get more and more intense as this war frequency continues. So, and if I have some time, um, I'll answer any questions, especially if you're talking about your health. But like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm a doctor's wife, and if you need to do traditional healthcare, believe it or not, now is the time. Now you might not have to do it, a whole lot, but just to kind of because these things are karmic, long term um, overlays, patterns that have been in your etheric body lifetime from lifetime, and they're clearing now. And where there's such a huge influx of energies now that it's very, very intense because we're being upgraded very, very fast because things have just escalated to like urgent, what do they call it? DEFCON 1 or something levels. And we'll talk, I think, next week more about dark flowering, a lot of the agendas that are going on, and you know, please don't lump me into this category with what's going on. This is a political thing that's going on, but I'm not part of that political stuff. I'm the antidote because at the highest, I work with guardians at the highest level who are non corporeal, and all they want to do is get us our freedom back. It's not a political statement, it's not wars, it's not, we're going to save you. It's nothing like that. That's not the frequency. It's frequency. It's helping you to assimilate the code so you can maintain the higher frequencies, so you can um assimilate your body, your physical body as well, onto the crystalline spiral of life and be hosted out of this fallen, falling, gone fall matrix, okay? The Milky Way and the parts of the earth that are not going to make it. And this is, I'm not saying this to scare you, but sometimes, you need to really become aware, become awake of what's going on because you really need to be careful where you're pairing off right now. There's so much deception going on, and so many people who talk the talk, and they talk even colonic science talk now, and they say all the right things, and they're on your side, and they're against, the governments and the cabal. They're taking, and they say all the right things. They say all the right things, but there's a slight slant to it, and it's taking you off the Crystalla spiral and into their fallen matrix because they get points for you. And the fallen angelics, they don't care if they fall because they'll figure something out. They figured it out for billions of years now. And they just care about, their position. They vie for position, which is not the way it is with the Guardians. We're all one. We all work together, and we're here as a team to hold frequency and to help get us hosted as much of Earth and humanity hosted out. So that's it in a nutshell. So, but I'm going to tell you a little bit of the mechanics about that because, all right, our sun, like I said, the scientists are going, what's going on with our sun? And I'm sure many of you are even feeling it. And there's flares, there's plasma ejections that are coming out, there's corona bursts, there's all kinds of stuff. Well, the truth is our sun, as we know it, the sun we've, come to know, we drew little pictures of, when it used to be, remember, it used to be kind of yellow. Now it's like white. But our sun, first of all, our sun is dying. It's a dying star. It's going bardo. And it's just kind of being held together for the next 100 years. So we don't Earth doesn't completely collapse. The Earth, the 3D Earth as we know it, to get people onto the new Earth, onto the higher frequency Earths, and which is in different stages in terms of time, in terms of frequency, which is being born now, as many of you feel it. This is all the posts about the new Earth, but it's not like, oh, this is new Earth, this is the place we're going to go. It's a frequency that you're going to inhabit, and your body has to get on there. So what's happening? We are being hosted out by the crystal spiral. I've talked about this so much. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, it's in my book, The Infinite Human, and I have free blogs and talk shows on my website, infinitehuman.com. So you can connect the dots. Yes, it does take some studying, but most of all, it takes coding. It takes frequency. And many of us came here encoded to be the leaders. We have contracts, and we have that coding within our genome, our genetic. Okay. So now, like I said, this sun, the 3D sun, is dying, it's going bardo. But there is a new sun. I think I kind of say it's being born, but through our sun is coming through actually the 7 sons of the cosmea, okay, from the deity planes, from the highest emanation, highest step down from infinite source. Okay, it's like you come down, and then this is powerful, very, very high frequencies, oscillations, and it's pouring through, and it's coming through our sun, and you can see the coding. I don't have any pictures, but if you look around, like my Facebook book, Being Infinite, I'll put some on there, but you can see a lot of the pictures that people are taking now. You can just see the rainbow plasma in it. You can see the orbs in it. You can, now be careful because it's so intense, but if you do sun gazing at the end of the day or the early morning, you can see these codes with soft eyes. They're becoming so prevalent. And, so these 7 signs, and the highest one is aquiline sun. It's the aqua sun or aqua white suns, and there's 7 of them. And each one not only holds frequency, but there's also codes and tribes of people or groups of people who have incarnated themes from the deity planes to hold these frequencies and to ground these frequencies in our Earth, so the grid systems of our planet will not collapse into fall, which is what the fallen angelics want. They want everything to collapse, to dark flower, to go on the Metatronic reversals of the Fibonacci spiral. That's their mission, to collect you, to collect your quantum, to feed them longer because they're parasitic. They don't feed directly from infinite source. So that's going on right now. And what does it feel like? Because we're getting upgraded really fast. We're going from like a carbon-based body, with iron in our blood, and 2 strands, 3 strands, of DNA, and plasma bodies that some of us have them, and they're not even activated. But and we'll talk about this in more detail next week with Olivia too. She's going to come back. We're going to talk about the dark flowering, which is really going crazy right now, and that's the war between the plasmas and the dark flowering. So that's very intricate, but what it is there's a lot of you don't know who you are. In fact, you perhaps never even been spiritual, but you're very, very highly encoded people who agreed, souls who agreed to come here at this time. And your body is very precious, especially to the dark side, because you have such high coding. So they want it. I know this sounds terrible. I don't want to scare you, but so they're dark flowering it. Many of them have been tracking you from lifetime to lifetime. We'll talk about that in more detail. So this though is the antidote, because even if you don't know the activations and how to accept the plasma host, a lot of this is just upgrading you so much and purging all those lower frequencies that you've been laden with lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So I've told you, like, my thyroid. Maybe most women, especially, have thyroid problem. I mean, almost every woman I know has some kind of thyroid problem. So, of course, because why? That's our voice. That's our connection. The will of thy will, the will of divine source is spoken through our voice. Okay, we are the projectors of the will of God, and that's the last thing, they want women running around. And so we were killed in many lifetimes very, very violently by beheading, being hung, having things put around our necks, and that maintained its imprint in our etheric body, and we carry from lifetime to lifetime, and it comes out in things like thyroid disease, or always having your throat having to clear it, or having neck adjustments. I know I always run to the chiropractor to adjust my neck. And then it's likewise our third eyes, and then I've had all kinds of problems with that. So these are things that are happening to you on a spiritual level, and you might say, oh my God, what's happening to me? I mean, I have migraines, I have jaw problems, neck problems, backs when you're running frequencies. I'm tired all the time. You're tired because you're getting saturated with all the codes that are coming in, and your physical body can't take it. So you have to get, you know, horizontal. You have to lay down, maybe fall asleep for an hour or two or three or all day, just to be able to assimilate everything that is coalescing and integrating into all of your bodies, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I had like a women problems, let's say. Excuse me, lots of mucus too, clearing out my third eye. But a lot of you may be experiencing the female problems, let's say, because there's been so many implants laid in our, womb and in our sacral chakra, in our root chakras. And then I've been just feeling these implants that have been launched in my fascia, my muscles, where I've always had muscular, knots and things, and they're leaving, but then that's detoxing the body. So in short, it is a beautiful thing. It is a wonderful thing. It is a great, great thing. But it is very, very challenging time, because it's happening so fast, because we have to get up to speed, because we're holding the ground, we're holding the grids, we're holding the frequencies. And the more frequency that we can hold, the more our earth can hold. And I created a really nice picture up here. I'll show it more next week, of Mother, the divine feminine holding Mother Earth and letting the beautiful bright flowers blossom. So it's very symbolic. And that's what we're doing. So we're needed. Okay. And you may be also feeling that you're kicking in your missions. You're getting much more clarity, much more of expanded awareness. You're becoming much more attuned, to the higher frequencies and to infinite God sources, whispers to your soul. You're becoming, you will become much more healthy when you purge these lower frequencies. I know, for me, it's like, really, you promise, but we will. I mean, we're talking about getting rid of the death genes, getting rid of the dis-ease, coding, metatronic coding that causes us to age and have death and disease. And many of us will actually be able to take our body with us as we move through these plasma spanner gates. And that's something that is a realistic thing, and some will definitely be doing that. So, miracle of miracle, wondrous times, and there is a lot going on. So, let's pause for a short break. Kind of went over, and then when we get back, I'll talk to you more about, some of the physical stuff that's happening in the masses too, with a lot of what's the biotechnology that's going in, because it's a challenging time for us as we see friends, loved ones dealing with all this. Okay, we'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
And welcome back to the Infinite Human Talk Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Monroy, and we're talking about the sun, the solar flares, and what it's doing to our bodies, and the body of our Mother Earth, which is actually a beautiful, beautiful thing, but it's a very challenging time because we're getting activated very rapidly due to the kind of emergency stance that our planet is now in, and we're needed to step up our frequencies and to hold more frequencies. So we're having to purge a lot, and it's creating a whole lot of um, um, dis-ease or rebalancing. We have to constantly be rebalancing as we purge, ancient patterns, karmic patterns, and miasmas from our physical bodies and emotional bodies and mental and spiritual bodies. And, a lot of emotions coming up. You may feel elated one moment, like completely at one, joyful. And then the next minute you may find yourself crying, and, remembering, reliving horrific experiences that you might not even know were in your conscious. But, no, you're not going crazy. No, you're not bipolar or psychotic or schizophrenic. You're just ascending. I know. It's tough. It is tough. God, it's tough. We're all going through it. Anyone that pretends they're not. And just want to make a little note because there's a lot of people, you see out there, and they're like these, they're walking around with their yoga mats and they're eating their, plastic vegan foods. And I'm not, putting down any group of people, but they just, and they're not. I mean, they might be feeling a little something, but there's a kind of a misguided belief among spiritual, and I do that with a hyphenated, spiritual people, that if you look young and if you're healthy and if you're flexible and you can run and bend yourself like a pretzel, you're so spiritual. Well, not yet. Because we've been doing that for eons, yogis might, some of them might live longer, but they still they still die. They're still encoded. They might just have found a way to balance it out and push the envelope a little bit. But we who are purging this, we who are the vanguard, are actually doing it. We're restoring our first it's coming through as plasmas, and then we're restoring our Krystic templates, through the plasmas, our light bodies, and we're reclaiming our cosmic, DNA and everything. So we are returning, and it's a process. It's probably a process that's going to take those who, stay on the planet and begin to, uh, evolve their bodies. So far, roughly 900 years. So it's a process of those on the new earth who are and they will move up in different platforms, different frequencies, different dimensions, through the true organic timelines. So it's a process, all right? And and chances are, the more you are purging right now, the higher your genetics, okay? Not that there's a hierarchy, but, you've got a bigger job. You've got a real big job, and we're talking holding massive amounts of the planet intact, doing grid work, okay? So don't sweat the small stuff. If you can't put your ankle behind your ear and you're not a vegan and you, whatever, and you don't look like you're 22. Because I see this all the time, especially on a lot of the YouTube channels. You see all these young, oh, and then we're all on the new earth now, and we're all fruitarians, and we're blah 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 blah. Blah. And they have a job, and there's no judgment there. I'm not putting them down, but just don't you look to them like, oh, they've got it, and I don't. Chances are you've got a much higher calling and contract, and it's going to take some real deep work, and you might not be famous for it, but when you get to that level, you don't care. It's not about getting pats on the back or likes or how many people subscribe to my channel or whatever. It's just doing the job, and then returning to where you want to be, home, wherever that is. So that's what I say true ascension, true spirituality is all about. So I'm saying that because I see a lot of people, I did a whole talk show on self-love. So get that out and just really just love yourself and be very appreciative of where you are. And try to remember when you're feeling like horrible, like your throat is swelling up and you might not be able to take in your next breath, which is literally how I felt this morning. Know that that is all part of the process, and you're being taken care of. I got what I needed. Peter was right there, like telling me, "Get the damn shot." Elizabeth, you got to do. And if you have to do traditional medicine, don't use some of that too. I mean, disclaimer: I'm not a doctor, but if you have to go see a doctor, hospital, get some whatever, those kinds of pharmaceuticals just for a little bit to bridge you over, just to maintain so you don't, suffocate or whatever, in a punch, do it. All right. So, but we are seeing now, and it's for some of us, it's very, very um difficult, challenging, and quite sad. Which is why I was very outspoken. So I'm going to try to say this without getting a flag on my YouTube channel or on Bold Embrace. But, when the 2020 came out, many of you saw me then because I just came out of my, spiritual hermitage, which was really wonderful here in Sicily, laying in the sun, meditating, hanging out with Peter in the higher planes, and started talking. And, all my devices kept getting blocked, but I just kept picking up the next one, iPad, iPhone, and saying what was really going on, and going to these jibby jabby places and chanting the Hippocratic oath, which is, first do no harm, and just really speaking out because I knew what was going to happen. And now we're seeing it, unfortunately, because it was all planned, and so we're seeing the effects of these jibby jabs and these pokey pokes, and I had actually, really, I consider him my nephew. Like ended up in the emergency room, and he had a huge infection. Thank God they found it, and first thing I always ask was how many, did they? And then I've talked to people, even here on this talk show, who's family members and people close to them are like experiencing all kinds of complications, like young women with a pregnancy are not supposed to have, it's just things falling apart, and I'm sure the doctors are like freaking out because they're like, this is not supposed to happen. Young people having heart attacks, healthy older people dropping dead, I mean, it's a genocide. It's a genocide. And with these unfortunately, with these higher purging powerful waves, they do push everything out. So that's in a way that's good. But if you have a whole lot of structural damage, in a house, for example, it comes in, this energy. Like actually, we wrote about it in The Pathway Home, Peter and I, in 1995. We said there's going to come a time when so much energy comes through, and you're like a light bulb. So if the light bulb is all dirty, it'll get blasted and it'll just break. And so that's what we're seeing with the help of this jibby jab. Certainly didn't help it out, but people who've had underlying health problems, really, really profound ones, are they're all coming up to the surface at once. And so they're having to do whatever they can to stay alive, which means maybe traditional medicine. Just try not to do the biotech stuff that they're coming out now, because the next agenda is you will see people, and they probably will just be fine. They won't skip a beat, but unfortunately, they'll be transhumanized, and they'll be living fine on the 3D Earth Metatronic Fibonacci timeline, which means they'll go fall, and that's their choice, and that's okay. But me, I'm about returning back to infinite God source, with wholeness, integrity, perhaps even bodily. It doesn't matter, but and returning to your brethren, returning to your family. That's really what it's all about. Other ways, not so hot. You just end up decomposing, becoming space dust, and unless you have some folks that really love you and help you reconstruct your memories, kind of like Spock when he died in his path, I think they called it, was restored to him. You're out of luck. So that's pretty much what's going on here. Boy, I said a lot really fast. So you know what? I'm gonna take a little break, and I'll come back in just a few minutes. We'll kind of wrap this up. All right.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Mike Zorick, a three-time
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
And welcome back to the Infinite Human Talk Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Monroy, and we've been talking about the sun and what's going on and all the crazy stuff that's happening. So, just to go back to the spiritual science, which is much more expansive and explains a lot more of what's going on. Our sun, which is eventually going into Bardo, is a new sun is being born. And the higher frequencies from our host of the crystalline spiral that is coming through 7 cosmic suns, and it's pouring in with these Krystic codes, with these plasma energy, and it's bathing us and our planet, and it's raising the frequency. And many of us who contracted were kind of what I think Dolores Cannon would call the first wave, but we're really souls who have incarnated directly from the deity planes, and we have very high encryption, so we can hold very high frequencies, and we're being activated first at a very rapid pace. So you may be feeling all kinds of health issues, be very, very tired, having to just purge and assimilate, purge, integrate, purge, as you raise in frequency, so you can hold the ground, hold the stand, and help pull our earth, our new earth, into the higher frequencies, using this Crystalla failsafe river host to anchor it and pull it up. Meanwhile, we have, of course, the other team that has held us in its grip for so very, very long. I mean, we're talking 260 billion years when it first started. They don't want to let us go. And I think you can understand why. We're their food. They've been working so long and they have no intention. And this is a game for them. They love this. This is what they live for. They don't have that same love, that same feeling of unity, that same oneness, that same joy, that same wanting to see their fellow, human or whatever it is left within that collective, succeed. They want people under them. They want workers under them. So they want to get as many as they can, because you are collateral. You're their currency. And so we're seeing a war being waged at the highest level. It is the most deceptive war, because the only weapons they really have right now is to deceive you, to trick you, to get you to give you give you their consent to remain within the matrix. And they're making the matrix now look really cool. It's an artificial intelligent matrix where you can be a god, where all your questions are answered, where you can sit there and learn from the spiritual emerald order that's merging with AI. Okay, so I see a lot of people, and this isn't a judgment. This is just watch out, because these people have been, hidden in. They talk the right talk. They speak the right words. And of course, they're all on video, so you can't really see what happens, when they take off the mask. But you need to discern, and you need to see, how does that resonate within me? All right. I'm going through holy crap right now. And I think most people we're all part of it. We're all going through it, because no one that I know, there's not a 12-stranded avatar walking the planet like when Sananda Melchizedek did. So now we're all groping, and this is when we're the most vulnerable. We're the most vulnerable when we start to wake up, because we're like, whoa, there's a whole spiritual realm out here. Oh my God, what is it about? Tell me, tell me, tell me. We're going to everyone we can hear it from, and they've learned to talk the talk really well. So we're like, yeah, oh yes, oh that sounds good. Oh, that sounds great. And they make it sound really great, and that's one telltale sign. If everything's, coming up, roses, it's coming up dark flowering roses. So discern, pay attention, and move forward with the sun at your own pace. Like right now, I just can't even go out it, and I have to respect that. Tune into your body, use your intuition, pay really close attention to what you have to eat. You may have to eat really, really low frequency stuff right now. I know it sounds crazy, but this is probably not the time to be fruitarian, vegan, fast and all that kind of stuff, unless you don't have the codeine, and then, you're not purging very much, so you can keep on, your same level of that. But if you're really purging off, the last thing you need is, you need some hearty, heavy carbs, even, meat, some alcohol. I know like speaker one used to smoke just to lower her frequency. There's some things I can't do, but I do try to um if I fast or if I forget to eat, my gosh, I start to feel like dizzy and I start to pass out. You may have to pass out a lot. Like find a place, don't pass out when you're in the middle of driving, but if you start to feel tired, you may need to take a nap. You may need to just relax, lay back, get horizontal for a while to allow your body to assimilate these codes. Be very gentle with yourself. Be very aware. Be very loving. I know you are doing a tremendous amount of work right now. We all are. We're just doing so much right now. This is the real work, and the real work is done in silence. The real work is done internally as we purge and integrate these higher frequencies, and then eventually hold them. And I promise you, I know it's not easy right now, but I do promise you that if you just keep on this path, it's not the easy one where you just, put a chip in you and, you just become, a hive-minded robotic being. It's harder because you're taking your body up too, through the higher frequencies, but it is going to be beautiful. It really, really is. It's worth the effort. It's worth the discomfort, the challenges, the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual challenges that we're all going through right now. So, I'm just here to give you that voice of inspiration and encouragement, and a big fat pat on the back for everything you've done, because you're doing the work. You're doing the work, and just this is all, this is passing, and sometimes you might have a huge outbreak. Oh my God, I thought I was over this. It's back, whether it's cancer or something huge, but it's just kind of like the glitching out of it. You'll see that it'll come out really big, and then it'll be, where'd it go? It's gone, you know? Oh my God, this is back. It's gone, you know? So it's just kind of barking, fizzling out and purging, so more and more of the higher frequencies can be absorbed, integrated, and become who you truly are, the highest frequency version of yourself. So, okay. So, you know what? Let's just take a few minutes right now to help this will help a little bit, to ground you, to focus you, and to just let everything happen. I find that when I don't resist it as much, because, you know, when these high frequencies come in, it's like, oh my God, you know, it's like a huge tsunami, and you're like, I can't take that. And, you know, if you relax and, you know, there's a lot of anxiety sometimes, um, you know, associated because you feel like you're losing yourself, and you're not. You're still yourself, but you're just gaining, you know, you're gaining a much greater expansive perspective and abilities, you know, abilities of manifestation, abilities that were your divine technology that you don't need artificial technology for. So just take a minute if you can, you know, if you're driving, forget it, but if you can, just take a nice deep breath, breathing I am. And exhaling, peace, 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 peace. And breathing in I am. And exhaling, love, 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 love. And one more time, breathing in the best you can. I am. And exhaling, infinite, infinite, infinite. And breathing in again, I am. And exhaling, source, 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 source. And you are infinite source. And you know what? It feels great to allow infinite source just to trickle in, just see it kind of coming in as a beautiful, milky, platinum kind of plasma, like feeling your body like your body's a toothpaste tube, and it's connecting to these beautiful lotus crown chakra, and it's just coming in this beautiful plasma energy that is bathing and coating you and waking up all your beautiful plasma lotuses and healing and coating and feeling your whole body like it's a little liquid metal man, like from the Terminator. And it's just this beautiful platinum kind of translucent plasma with swirls of rainbow in them. And you feel it moving through your body, just relaxing and healing and realigning, recalibrating every part of your body through your third eye, through your throat chakras, and opening up those beautiful lotus chakras through your azari, the base of your throat, and into your heart, opening, healing that beautiful heart lotus flower, and through your stomach, healing all the digestive issues into your heart of Afema, clearing all that out, clearing out all the implants and the miasmas that have been there for so long. Just let them go. We don't need them anymore. And then just moving right down into your womb for the women, and for the men, you know, your sexual organs there, and clearing out all those implants and those miasmas and those reversals that have been there, you know, creating havoc for you. You don't need them. Just let them go. And then let it move down into both your arms, okay, clearing out the muscular distortions, and down through your legs all the way, just coating and calibrating and feeling yourself connecting through your feet deeply and firmly grounding yourself in Mother Earth. And then you feel this plasma gently awakening and healing and recalibrating and realigning to the Krystala spiral of life. See if I can do it with all my mucus. And those, the Kara Yasata, are the 7 suns, the rays of creation that are bathing you. So sometimes just toning them will help you to assimilate and integrate them better. And the na is simply in Anahasi, we are one. That's what I'm saying. So that helps to recalibrate and to bring everything into a beautiful, peaceful balance. And I don't know about you, but I feel better already. I feel like, yes, I feel. So just let that settle into your physical body and all your bodies. You have many different bodies, and your plasma body at the highest level, and your rishi bodies and all your bodies. So, all right, so we're almost finished here, and Kiki's trying to gurgle. That's my sign that I need to wrap it up. She's my guide. She's my spiritual guide. She tells me what to do. She's from the dating place too. So, everything if you're confused, of course, my book, theinfinitehuman.com, is on Amazon as a book, as as an audiobook. If you listen, I know there's so much out there, and everyone's like, "Oh, there's so much out there," but give it a chance to absorb, because it's part of what they're doing right now. That's the name of the game. They're throwing everything out there at you, so to confuse you and to split your focus and to get you distracted and confused, so you end up making choices perhaps not of the highest choices. And believe me, the Tothian factions are experts at this. They've been preparing for this for eons, for this very time we're in, and they've been schooling themselves and learning all about our our stuff. And now AI's learned it too. So AI can spit it out, because we've been putting it out there. They listen to every word I say on my talk show. They read all the books, everything, because it's all on the internet now. So of course AI gets it, and they can spit it out too. But be careful, because there's a slight twist. It's very, how you're driving, or let's say you're selling a ship, and they do a magnetic variation. So, you're heading true north, but the magnetic variation taking you just a little bit off course so gradually that you don't even know it. And the next thing you know, you're not arriving in the true north, the destination. So that's what we're seeing right now in the whole internet, in all these talk shows and all these YouTube videos and everything that's going on. Everybody's talking. Some of them are doing it intentionally, and they're the good ones. And everyone seems to be following them, because I've been watching them, and I've been distancing myself from them. And I've had some of them on my talk show, because I was hoping, actually, silly me, Krystic person, I was telling them all this information, and they were just writing it down so they could use it at this time. Or I was bringing them forth. Oh, this person speaks colonic science. Wow, they're Krystic. No. You can be, you can know colonic signs, you can know all this vast information and be, very Tothi and Anunnaki with your agenda and use it as it's been used all the time. It's nothing new under the sun. Pun intended. But, to use truth to tell lies, to slightly direct you off course, as is AI, and I see everyone jumping on the bandwagon with that. It tells you the truth, but it's not infinite source. And I always say, "Why? Go to infinite source." And the more you use something like that, the more you start getting, "Oh, it's easy. Oh, I can get my answers there. I don't have to think. Oh my god, I can use it to write a book. I don't have to think." Right. I can use it to create art. I don't have to create anymore. And so what do we have in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What do our children have? A civilization that's forgotten to think, to create, to write. We have the 3D Earth gone fall. So if you like that, I'm not judging here. There's the door. But hopefully you'll start to wake up along the way and say, wait a minute, I like thinking for myself. I like learning to use my intuition. I like getting downloads directly from infinite source and the guardian races. I like my soul mission, my unique soul mission. I don't so following other people right now, as I wrote in the path in the Infinite Human in 2022. Do not follow spiritual teachers, gurus, anyone. Listen to me too. Take what resonates, leave the rest. And to other people out there. Dip in, dip out, but move on. Take pieces, move on. Take other pieces, move on. And there will come a time, and that's part of what I'm doing, where I feel like we are building collectives. We're not building collectives. I take that back. We are already collectives. We're just gathering ourselves for the next step in our soul mission. And it's going to be great. All right. So thank you so much. And please join us next week because we're going to talk about the very important bright flower, dark flower, just what's happening on the planet right now with Olivia. Okay. Ciao from now. Have a beautiful week. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Infinite Human Talk Show with your host, Elizabeth Monroy. We hope today's episode has inspired you to join the new consciousness renaissance and be the change by reclaiming your true divine infinite nature within and becoming an infinite human and a co-creator of the new infinite earth. Tune in next week for another empowering episode. Until then, have an infinite week.